Every 10 minutes, a woman or a girl is murdered by her partner or a family member. That's about 140 every single day. Just a few years ago, it was every 11 minutes. Today, the clock is ticking faster, and it doesn't stop with women. Children are often caught in the same cycle. Sometimes they lose their lives alongside their mothers and fathers. Other times, they are targeted in the ultimate act of revenge. By the time this video ends, another woman or a child may be gone. Not because they stayed silent, not because they didn't fight hard enough, but because the system ignored the danger until it was too late. A quick warning before we begin. This video deals with disturbing topics that include domestic violence, child murder, and familicide. Viewer discretion is strongly advised. These murders don't come out of nowhere. They are almost always followed by a pattern of hidden abuse. It's called coercive control, an invisible cage that leaves no bruises but is just as deadly. This is the anatomy of familicide. It's not about black eyes or broken bones, it's about invisible signs. It's about systematic failures, and it's about the unthinkable consequences of underestimating the deadliest form of abuse. Custody disputes can look messy from the outside, but beneath the surface, many hide a darker truth. Mothers report abuse. They beg for supervised visits. They warn their children are not safe. And again, they are dismissed, told it's just a bad parenting, told it's just a bitter divorce. And then the unthinkable happens. A child doesn't come home. A mother's fears become reality. These killings are not crimes of passion. They are deliberate, they are calculated, and they are planned. And too often, children are collateral damage. They are the weapon, the most devastating way to punish their surviving parent. So, how does a breakup turn into murder? To understand that, you have to look at coercive control. Experts call it the single biggest predictor of domestic homicide. It doesn't always leave bruises, but it builds an invisible prison. And here's the part I don't want you to miss. At the end of this video, I'll share a list of red flags to look out for. Screenshot it, save it, pass it along. It could save someone's life. Coercive control looks like this: financial abuse, where one partner controls all the money; isolation, cutting you off from family and friends; psychological warfare, humiliation, intimidation, and gaslighting. For many victims, the first act of physical violence is also the last, which is why recognizing these red flags before the violence starts is so critical. And coercive control doesn't just kill through murder, it also drives some victims to end their own lives. The weight of despair, financial ruin, humiliation, and endless legal battles can become unbearable. Even after leaving, many are dragged through the mud in family court, painted as unstable, their children used as pawns in a legal game. The abuse doesn't end at home, it just shifts into the courtroom. This is why coercive control is deadly, not just with a weapon, but with the crushing weight of control itself. When women or children are murdered, people ask, why didn't they leave? Why didn't someone do something? The heartbreaking truth is many did try. They reported abuse, they provided evidence, they begged for protection, and still the system failed. Courts demand proof: bruises, hospital records, police reports. But how do you prove years of psychological terror? How do you show gaslighting in a photo? And sometimes, even when victims do have proof, the texts, the emails, and the threats, it's ignored, brushed aside as just a relationship problem. And too often, victims hear the same dismissive line: just because they abused you doesn't mean they'll do it to the children. That couldn't be further from the truth. Children are not shielded from abuse in these homes. They are engulfed by it. Sometimes they are direct victims. Other times they are pawns in the abuser's campaign of control. Abusers know how to play the system. They show up calm, charming, convincing. Meanwhile, victims are painted as unstable, vindictive, untrustworthy. Judges believe the performance. Victims are dismissed, and children are left with someone who sees them not as people, but as property. The murder of a partner is a tragedy. The murder of a child is an atrocity. When both are killed, it's called familicide. This is not random madness, it is control taken to its extreme. To the abuser, the family isn't made of individuals, they are possessions, and when those possessions slip away, the abuser annihilates them. In the US, familicide happens about once every 5 days. Most of the killers are men. Almost all share the same history: coercive control. And in these cases, children aren't collateral damage. They're often the intended victims, killed to silence, to punish, to exert final control. If coercive control is the biggest red flag for homicide, why don't we treat it like the lethal crime it is? The UK has tried parts of this. In England and Wales, Clare's Law let people request information about a partner's past abuse, but it is in a public registry. For more than 2 decades, advocates have pushed for something stronger, a real register, but it hasn't happened. Blocked by privacy debates, blocked by cost concerns, blocked by resistance. And here in the US, more states are passing laws to protect victims of coercive control. On paper, it looks like progress, but survivors know the truth. What is the point of laws if no one enforces them? Judges dismiss evidence, police downplay danger, protective orders are violated with little to no consequence. Legislation without enforcement is a broken promise, one that victims often pay for with their lives. If a domestic violence registry or stronger enforcement laws existed where you live, would you support them? Do you think they'd save lives, or would they just be ignored the way so many laws already are? Drop a yes or no in the comments and tell me why. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The murder of a woman every 10 minutes is not inevitable. It is preventable. It happens because our system ignores coercive control, because it minimizes non-physical abuse, because it values parental access over child safety. For too many, the first time he hits is also the last. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, you are not alone. We can't just rely on the law to protect us. We need to be more proactive, and that starts with education, with understanding coercive control, with knowing the signs and spotting the red flags before it's too late. Before we close, I promised I'd share the red flags of coercive control. These are the warning signs you need to know. Isolation, cutting you off from family and friends. Financial control, taking your money, controlling accounts, sabotaging your work. Surveillance, monitoring your every move. Gaslighting, making you doubt your own memory and sanity. Unpredictable rules, keeping you walking on eggshells. Threats and intimidation, using children as pawns, humiliation and degradation. Restriction from freedom, controlling what you wear, where you go, who you see. Love bombing followed by punishment when you set boundaries. Save it, share it. Someone in your life may need it. Thank you for watching. If this video opened your eyes, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps bring these hidden truths to light, and together we can demand change.